So if partypoopers became party crashers, what happened to partygoers? To know that, let's watch the video. Entity 67, aka Sanguine Festivus, is a viral pathogen with highly unstable and volatile effects. Individuals who have contracted this disease are commonly referred to as partygoers by wanderers. Yes, you heard me, they are kinda the new partygoers of the backrooms. It has spread across numerous levels of the backrooms, causing widespread chaos and devastation within affected communities, and has infected a significant number of individuals, potentially reaching a scale of tens or even hundreds of thousands. And that's when party crashers came into picture, when the virus was widely spreading inside the backrooms, taking the lives of so many wanderers. I have already done a video about them. Don't forget to check it out. The link is in the description. So party crashers acted as a human militia dedicated to hunting down and exterminating victims of the Sanguine Festivus virus, aka SFV. So how deadly this disease is and how does this affect an individual? Let's know a bit about SFV's behaviors. So when an individual is affected by this virus, the disease's impact on hormones triggers intriguing behaviors, particularly in individuals who are beyond medical aid. These people often exhibit heightened happiness and euphoria. This stage of the disease is dangerous because they are always in this joyful state and want to spread the disease to others. Some infected individuals might persuade healthy ones to contract the disease willingly, yet most rely on their increased energy to employ more forceful, even violent methods to spread it, which can go as far as to even kill the individual. In most of the cases, it's possible to detect the presence of nearby SFV-infected victims before direct interaction. And the most unmistakable clues are their unsettling laughter and the odor of decay of their body. In specific areas, the pathogen has spread so extensively that the echoes of their maniacal laughter can be heard for miles in every direction. Despite their agitated and distorted conduct, there's a belief that the infected individuals retain some form of humanity. This is evident in their ability to engage in rational thinking, utilizing various methods to interact individuals who approach them. This intriguing aspect underscores the complexity of their condition, a paradox where delusion and rationality coexist, highlighting the intricate interplay between their altered mental state and lingering human qualities. But that doesn't stop them from attacking their targets, though. They are still getting driven by the only motive to infect others as much as they can, eventually turning them into partygoers. However, whether the infected victims completely transitioned into a partygoer or not is still debatable. What do you guys think? Do let me know in the comments. Sanguine Festivus is spread via the bodily fluids of an infected entering one's bloodstream, most often via inflicted wounds or digestion of contaminated food. That means the most easiest way to infect someone is when a SFV victim attacks and wounds someone and then transfer their blood through that. As soon as transmission occurs, the individual who contracts it will start showing symptoms within roughly 8 to 12 hours. These symptoms first come in the form of muscle cramps, lightheadedness, cold flashes, and jolts of pain throughout the body. Approximately 24 hours after the first signs of symptoms, the disease makes its way to the afflicted's liver and starts to heavily dilute the body's blood and manipulate the flow of proteins throughout their anatomy. Here, the afflicted in question will experience regular aching and stiffness, discoloration of the skin and veins, gnawing pain in the forearms and jaw, and bleeding from the palms caused by the abnormal growth of bone matter protruding from within the hands. At this point, the disease can still be purged from the body and the afflicted saved, with many antibiotics and even bloodletting shown to be effective means of treatment. After 2 to 3 days have passed since initial contamination, with no treatment administered, the disease will have taken over the afflicted's heart and completely diluted the blood, rendering the infected beyond help. A sign of this is heavy discoloration of the skin in the chest area, turning a dark and sickly gray-red, especially above the heart. Within hours of reaching this stage, the disease will find its way to the brain and begin tampering with the pituitary gland, releasing overwhelming amounts of hormones such as dopamine, serotonin, and adrenaline throughout the body to sedate the infected. This will result in them becoming ecstatic and aggressive, and they will begin to encourage behaviors of seeking out others and acting erratically towards them, often grabbing hold of or even outright attacking others. From here, the infected person's condition will only continue to deteriorate. The liver will stop filtering blood, turning the affected person's skin a dull yellow and darkening surface veins as diseased blood reaches every part of the body. More abnormal bone growths will start to appear around the eyes and mouth, growing increasingly irritating to the infected and driving them to itch and tear at their face, very often resulting in a pattern of wounds resemblant of a gory, exaggerated permanent smile and slit-like patches of torn skin and flesh both above and below the eye sockets. Several months into infection and they completely turn into a partygoer. After an individual turn into a partygoer, they acquire all the powers of a partygoer, even their lifespan increases too. Typically they can live from 100 to 250 years with the SFV virus running in their bloodstream. However, there is still one exception to this, as they can be killed by the only known entity of the Backrooms so far. They are the party hosts. The party hosts, famously known as Entity 167, were discovered long after Partygoers and Partypoopers. They were there in the Backrooms, but nobody knew much about these creatures. They somehow managed to camouflage themselves because party hosts are literally cakes and hence immobile. By appearance, these guys are like giant size of cakes with massive shriveled eyes, often surrounded by birthday candles. But don't fall for their looks, they are even dangerous than partygoers. They appear to be able to telepathically communicate with any partygoer in a certain range, and it is theorized that they can see through the eyes of the partygoers. It is also theorized that somehow party hosts are even responsible for many of the incidents and wars, like the Fun War. Because party hosts are capable of controlling a partygoer. And I think that is really scary. They can also edit digital information, and their intelligence seems to be far above that of a human. But the only weakness the party hosts have is their immobility. You can also see the party hosts are guarded by a number of partygoers almost all the time. And they are the only ones who can kill a SFV-infected partygoer. Coming to the discovery, while the origins of Sanguine Festivus are nigh unknown to us, it was first documented as far back as the mid-1700s. Concerningly, the rate of infection and the amount of infected has only increased over time. So here are some do's and don'ts. If at all you come across a SFV-infected individual, do follow these. Seek out the nearest party crasher outpost if you come into contact with someone or something infected with SFV. Treat infection as soon as possible to prevent the virus from taking root. Otherwise, termination of the infected is the most humane option. And in any circumstances, don't attempt to engage without overwhelming means of eradication. Don't approach any infected corpses, as they can still be a vector for contamination and are considered a biohazard.